Hello and welcome to Mathematics with Simon. I'm Simon. Today we're going to talk about indices. Um, so we're going to start with squares. So 6 to the power 2, 6 squared. This is 6 times 6, so that's 36. Or 7 to the power 2, we say 7 squared. 7 times 7 is 49. In general, x to the power 2, so this is x with the index 2, is x times x. Now why do we call it squared? Well, if we imagine a square with two sides that are both 7 units long, the area of the square is 7 times 7, which is 49. And in the same way, if you imagine a square with side 6 long, the area of that square would be 6 times 6. So if we take the side and square it, we get the area of the square with that side. Cubes, so 6 to the power 3, 6 with the index 3, is 6 cubed, 6 times 6 times 6, which is 216. 7 cubed is 7 times 7 times 7, which is 343. In general, x cubed is x times x times x, where x is any number. And in the same way, if we imagine a cube with side 6, 6 cubed is the volume. 6 times 6 times 6, which is 216, because the volume of a cube is length times height times depth, depending on the different, how you're calling the different dimensions. But basically, it's the three dimensions times by each other, 6 by 6 by 6. We can talk about fourth powers. So 6 to the power 4 is 6 times 6 times 6 times 6, 6 with the index 4. And x to the power 4 is just x times x times x times x. Okay. And the fifth power, similar. Okay, so how do we multiply numbers raised to a power? So 6 to the 3 times 6 to the 2 is 6 times 6 times 6, that's 6 to the 3, times 6 times 6, which is 6 to the 2. And put that all together, we get 6 times 6 times 6 times 6 times 6, which is 6 to the 5. So we've got 7 to the 4 times 7 to the 2. We've got 7 times 7 times 7 times 7, which is 7 to the 4, times 7 times 7, which is 7 to the 2. Altogether, that makes 7 to the 6. Then say we've got x to the 5th times x to the 3rd, that's x times x times x times x times x, that's x to the 5th, times x times x times x, that's x to the 3rd. Altogether, that makes x to the 8. So what we're doing here is we're adding the powers. So 6 to the 3 times 6 to the 2 equals 6 to the 5. 3 plus 2 is 5. 7 to the 4 times 7 to the 2 equals 7 to the 6. 4 plus 2 equals 6. And x to the 5th times x to the 3 equals x to the 8. 5 plus 3 equals 8. Add the powers. X to the a times x to the b equals x to the a plus b. So when we're multiplying, we add the powers. Okay, how can we make sense of fractional powers? So 9 to the power half. What's that all about? Well, we can use the same rule of adding the powers. So 9 to the half times 9 to the half ought to be 9 to the half plus half, which is 9 to the 1, which is just 9. So 9 to the half times 9 to the half is 9. That must mean that 9 to the half is the square root of 9. It's the number you times by itself to give 9, which is 3. So if you raise to the half power, then you're square rooting. And then let's think about raising to the power of 1/3. 8 to the 3rd times 8 to the 3rd times 8 to the 3rd is 8 to the 1, which is just 8. So 8 to the 3rd is the cube root of 8, which is 2. 8 to the 2/3 is the cube root of 8 squared. So in this case, that's going to be 4. What about 0 powers? Well, again, let's use the adding rule. 8 to the 0 times 8 to the 3 equals 8 to the 0 plus 3, which is 8 to the 3. So timesing by 8 to the 0 makes no difference. So that must mean that 8 to the 0 is 1. And actually, anything to the 0 is 1. As long as x is not 0 itself. So if x is 0 itself, it gets a bit more complicated because, for instance, 0 to the 3 is 0, because it's 0 times 0 times 0. 0 to the 6 is 0. 0 to the anything is 0, actually. Anything positive is 0. And so we want 0 to the anything to be 0, and we want 5 to the 0 to be 1. We want anything to the power 0 to be 1. So 0 to the 0 causes us some real problems. 0 to the 0, what is it? That is difficult. That takes some thought. It's not really defined. How do you make sense of negative powers? Well, 3 to the 2 times 3 to the minus 2, if we use this rule of adding, we get 3 to the 0, which is 1. So what that means is 3 to the 2, which is 9, times 3 to the minus 2 equals 1. And if we divide both sides by 9, that means 3 to the minus 2 equals 1 over 9, 1 over 3 squared. So 3 to the minus 2 is 1 over 3 squared. In general, x to the minus 3 is 1 over x to the 3, x to the minus n, where n is any positive number, or actually any fraction. X to the minus n equals 1 over x to the n. What about powers of powers? What is x squared cubed? Okay, what is x squared cubed? Well, x squared cubed is x squared times x squared times x squared, and then we've got to add the powers, so it's 2 plus 2 plus 2, so it's x to the 6. X cubed to the 4 is x cubed times x cubed times x cubed times x cubed, which is x to the 12, because you've got to add 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, x to the 12. In general, x to the a to the power b is x to the ab, because essentially you're going to get b lots of x to the a, and then you're going to add those up, which is b times a, or a times b. What about your dividing? Well, if we think about x to the 7 over x to the 3, that's like x to the 7 times x to the minus 3, because 1 over x to the 3 equals x to the minus 3. So it's x to the 7 times x to the minus 3. So you've got to add 7 and minus 3, which is 7 minus 3, which is 4. In general, x to the b over x to the a equals x to the b times x to the minus a equals x to the b minus a. So when you divide, you subtract the powers. Okay, let's do a quiz to end up. So I would invite you to guess in your head, but don't feel any pressure. Just do whatever you want to do, whatever feels right. Quick quiz. 9 squared, 16 to the half, 8 to the 0, 0 to the 0, 125 to the minus 3. Okay, let's do these. 9 squared, 81. I'm sure you got that. 16 to the half is 4, or you could say minus 4 actually, because it's a square root. Could be 4, could be minus 4. 8 to the 0 is 1. Feel free to pause the video or something if you want more time. It's very sensible. 0 to the 0, we don't know what 0 to the 0 is. It's undefined. 125 to the minus 3, that means 1 over the cube root of 125, which is 5. Because 5 times 5 is 25, times 5 again, you get 125. Okay, let's do more quizzing. 11 to the 7 over 11 to the 5. Now, you don't have to work out 11 to the 7 to do this. You just have to say it's 11 to the 7 minus 5, 11 to the 2. 11 squared happens to be 121. 2 cubed to the power 4. 2 cubed to the power 4 is 2 to the 12. Now, I haven't worked out this in advance of the video. This is probably really naughty, but what is 2 to the 12? We can probably work it out. So it's 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1,024, 2,048, 4,096. It's 4,096. There we go. X to the 3 to the power 0. Well, we just do x to the 3 times 0, which is x to the 0, which is 1. It's 1 as long as x is not 0. And then x squared over the square root of x is x to the 3 over 2. So what we do is we do x to the 2 minus a half. 2 minus a half is 3 over 2. Wasn't that fun? I hope you liked this video. If you did, then please hit like. You're very welcome to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We'll send you more in the future. I'd love to hear your ideas, things you want us to cover, and most of all, I really hope you enjoy your mathematics. Bye-bye.